Right, we had responses like no, but nobody could pick up a hand. So, I'm very particularly fond of such meetings. It's one of those few days where I guess we all have our typical work lives. We have people we sit around, work with. We know names, we don't know faces. Sometimes it happens like that. But today is one of those few days where the entire CBT family gets together with a single agenda of course, sharing life moments with each other, and also getting to know a little about what exactly, on a very high level, getting to know a little about what the distant future, the line of business, will hold for us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the CBT All Hands Meet. It's like rightly said that whenever there is no vision, in a matter of time, people slowly and steadily start to perish. But wherever there is good leadership, this vision gets converted to reality. On that note, I'll invite Sridhar on stage to welcome our guest speaker.
Thank you, Subrati. Sam, it's been wonderful having you here. I heard a lot about you from Pramod and a lot of other leaders around. So this will be a great opportunity to see you demonstrate all the motivational skills that you have and spread it to all the team members here. To introduce, to get to know about Sam, Sam is the Vice President of Deloitte & Touche from Hyderabad. And he has a lot of experience in management consulting, IT strategy, infrastructure management, and corporate finance. He is a well-known speaker. He has multiple TV shows done. And in fact, he has 11 big budget dramas and plays. He's also involved in 2 music albums. So he's pretty much the guy to motivate all the teams here. So with that, I really welcome Sam here. Sam.
Good morning. Good, you're awake. One of my starting one-liner, one cheeky one-liner actually, but then that's one quick way to get people's attention. Before we start, I want to thank all the leadership, Sridhar and the entire team for inviting me here. Kind of feels overwhelming. I feel like the voice of God when I speak. Have you felt that when you speak here? It's like, thoda volume come to over here, wherever you are. Okay. So I want to thank all the leadership for inviting me. It's a great honor and privilege. So hopefully the next 25-30 minutes, I'll impart something with you that will probably change your life. If you listen and practice. You know, you have to listen and practice. Listening and warming up the chair is just not enough to take our careers forward. How many of us want to retire the same way we were hired, in the same level and designation we were hired? Please raise your hands. Thank God there's only one person who's got a lofty ambition. But all of us, we want to go onward, forward and upward. That's the basic law of life. Isn't that right? We want to grow. If you have a house, 2-bedroom house, we want a 3-bedroom house. If you have a bike, you want a car. If you have a small car, you want a big car. If you have a car, you want an SUV and a private jet, and the list goes on. That's basic human nature. But it's all good to dream about things. But like our former president APJ Abdul Kalam said, it's good to dream about it, but wake up and fulfill it, right? You got to wake up and fulfill it. So here I'm going to be talking about a few quick tips and pointers on how you and I can be successful, especially in an organization like yours and mine, where we deal with our clients remotely, right? That brings a whole level of challenges that are totally different from any company that you worked earlier before. You may have worked for an Indian company, India serving India, very, very different from India serving the US or Japan or some other country remotely. And with that comes a whole lot of other challenges. So hopefully I'm going to be showing and sharing some illustrations on how you can overcome those challenges and not just survive, but thrive in whatever you are doing. Alright, so before we start our little journey together, can I request you to cross your hands like this and shake somebody's hand, shake your neighbor's hand. Look to the person on your right, and say, you look much better than the person on my left. All right. So what about? Yeah, that guy maybe. On the left, left party. Okay. So we start off with our little tips and tricks I can tell you in terms of how you and I can not just survive but thrive in this place. So I want to divide us into 5 groups so that you can help me remember and recap, right? It should not be just all of us. Alright, so we're going to divide this entire group here, starting from this line onwards. Your team number 1, alright, your team number 2, is that okay? Okay, we have a team in Bangalore. Let's make Bangalore team number 3. Can you wave your hand at me, Bangalore, if you can see me? Yeah? Your team number 3, alright, good. From here all the way to the gentleman in the blue shirt, your team number 4, alright, team number 4, and last but not the least, team number 5, alright? So that's how we're going to be going through the whole thing. Number 1 tip and mantra that I can give you is in terms of what I call the 5 C's. The 5 C's. Number 1, focus of everything we do in our life, in our day-to-day basis. We exist because the clients exist. Isn't that correct? If there were no clients, there would be none of us. If there is no audience in the theatre, there is no Amitabh Bachchan. There is no Shah Rukh Khan, there is no Preeti Zinta, and there is no, sadly, Katrina Kaif. Right? But we exist because the audience exists. You exist in a corporate world, I exist in a corporate world because the client exists. So the number 1 mantra I want to leave with you today is in terms of the client. Focus on the client. Now many a times we say the client is too far away and we cannot communicate with the client. He or she doesn't understand my Indian culture, understand my Indian nuances, understand the pressures I'm going through, understand the Indian market of attrition, understand there's a 90-day notice period before you can hire anybody, right? The client is like, I thought you had 1.2 billion people, I mean you can hire anybody anytime, but we have a 90-day, all of those different nuances. One of the most important things for us to do in terms of that is to understand that we exist because the client exists. If we can ensure that we take care of the client in every single way, and I have a few quick pointers that I want to sort of leave with you and go on forward. Oh, sorry there. I'm sure there's a lot of security restrictions and all of that. Remember after the I had a whole bunch of security. I mean, although I kind of looked like a terrorist, but I had a whole bunch of security things and all. I remember after the bomb blast in Hyderabad, even our company, Deloitte, we had this elevated level of security, and so all our security guards were told, please check the laptop bag, also check it clearly. So my friend, he gets the laptop bag, and he also has a tiffin box, another bag. And so the security guard checks the laptop bag, and my friend tells him, "Bhaiya, वो टिफिन बॉक्स का बैग भी चेक कर लो." नहीं, हमको तो ऊपर से ऑर्डर आया, खाली लैपटॉप बैग चेक करना है. We exist because the client exists. I think the clickers are not working. How can we satisfy our client? How can we satiate and keep them happy? Number 1, they need to build up trust with us. So here's where I need your help. How can you build trust with your friend? Your friend that you made first time you met him or her in Wells Fargo. I hope it's a professional relationship, by the way. I will say the middle, okay. How can you build trust with a friend, with a person? You trust him first, then then he will give the same thing back, okay? How can you build trust? Get to know them first, okay? Then, sorry? Mutual understanding, okay? Yeah? Help them when they are in need. Be open with your vulnerabilities. Not hesitate to expose your vulnerabilities. The number one way I believe we can build up trust is if your sayings match your doings, they build trust. If your sayings match your doings, it builds trust. Example, you tell your client or you tell your onshore manager or you tell your boss, even in India, that you know what, I will give you this deliverable by 5 p.m. And if you do not deliver by 5 p.m., you're actually eroding your manager's trust. Isn't that correct? You told a person, I have a 3-year-old son. I tell him I'll bring chocolate and I don't bring chocolate, I can't sleep in the night. He's crying for half the night. And we have that little thingy inside of us actually. If we tell our bosses, our leaders, our on-site folks that we're going to be delivering this project by this particular date and time, and we do not deliver, our clients lose trust in us. And that's where not only the company, not only Wells Fargo or Deloitte or whichever company, but the whole country takes the blame for it. Oh, those lousy Indians, they don't deliver on time. You know, Indians mein to adjust smarty hota hai. Sir, I will come at 5:30, 5:35 or 5:10, 5:15. So do you mean 5:10 will you be there or will you be there at 5:15? मैं 5-10 मिनट में आ जाता हूँ. Are you saying you come in 5 minutes or are you saying you come in 10 minutes? So that's where it all begins. You know some of the nuances we have of how we do not build trust with our clients. I will tell you this by EOD. EOD. Have you heard of EOD anybody? What is EOD? Somebody tell me what is EOD? End of US Day or India Day or Australia Day or Japan Day. And by the way, even if it is India Day, is it 5 p.m., 6 p.m., which shift are you in? First shift, second shift, third shift? And many a times we communicate like this, we tell people, this is how we do it. We build trust when our sayings match our doings. Let's go on to the next thing. I want to sort of just one more bullet point I'll touch on before I touch another thing. Our colleagues, our clients are looking for innovators. They're looking for people who can come up with creative solutions and ideas. If you and I are involved in typing 300 words per minute, and that's our job, and we go home in the end of the day, EOD, trust me, you and I are not getting promoted. If you're doing what you're called to do, what you're paid to do, yes, I don't know, what's your rating system? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 1 being the highest or 5 being the highest? 5 being the highest. You will most positively, if you do what you're called to do, you do it exactly 300 words per minute or whatever the equivalent is, you will naturally get a rating 3, no? In between, somewhere in between. I was about to say 1, but because you guys are so good, you're smiling and laughing at my silly jokes also here. So I just gave it a little higher. I'm just kidding. But you understand, right? If you do every day in your office work what you're exactly called to do, this is my job description, I will not do one thing over it, one thing below it. I will tell the client, trust me, you'll get a rating 3 or whatever the equivalent middle level rating is. When you and I do that delta addendum, the value add, the creative input that you do, that's when you go higher and forward in life. When you do that little thing, you remember this next word I'm going to tell you? HATKE, hatke. When you do something a little hatke, that is when your boss, your manager, your US client will recognize you and say, you know what, I'm getting fantastic delivery out of India. focus on the client. Think like he thinks or she thinks. One other thing, this is my pet peeve. We keep saying this as one and all that. We are all as one, and the headquarters is here, and we have offices in New York, we have offices in Los Angeles, we have offices in Parsippany, and we have an office in Hyderabad. But those guys there and these guys here. Have you noticed that thing happening? Those guys said this, these guys said it. If you were CEO, that word, those guys, these guys, will actually hurt you. Did you know that? Will actually hurt you. You'll feel sad that your team, your one integrated team, doing the exact same thing of delivery to the clients, to our retail clients, the banking sector. The same team is saying, tu, I hate my elder brother, I hate my younger sister, it's like that. You and I have to learn to integrate and become one team. If you and I cannot do that, which leads me to my next point, which is communication. Somebody's rolling. Don't roll it out before I tell you the next point. Yeah. Which is the next point. So how do you integrate and become one team? One team. You communicate in such a way, and as I keep going through the whole thing, I believe personally, in many instances, over-communicate is better than under-communicate. I'm not trying to say that every 5 minutes shoot off an email to the boss saying that I have arrived in office. Now I am going to the restroom. Now I'm having a coffee break. Now I did 10 lines of code and now I finished one delivery. No, I don't mean that. I mean keep up your regular communication channels with your US colleagues or colleagues all over the world, wherever you deal with. Ensure you keep that going. Now how do you communicate? Few quick tips, and this one point I learned from John Maxwell. He writes, everybody communicates, few people connect. Everybody communicates. Everybody can come stand here and give a nice bhashan on the stage. Everybody communicates. But few people connect. So the cardinal rule of people who communicate excellently are connect before content. Everybody say connect before content. Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good night everybody. Everybody say it out loud so that you and I can sort of reinforce it in our minds. Connect before content. One of my managers, I used to hate her with all my heart. So, and this person was a tyrant, trust me. Anything we do, good, bad, ugly, communicate, innovation, creative, blah, blah, blah. She was a tyrant. But she had one very good quality about her. Every time we got on this call with her, she will start on, hey Sam, how's your son? Is he doing good? You were telling me your daughter is not doing well. Is your daughter okay now? And she'd go to my daughter's birthday, my son's birthday. She remembers what happened in my last. She knows everything about me. So before she starts the call, for 2 or 3 minutes, she's actually going around the room, connecting with me at a personal level before getting into the technical things, before getting into the project, before getting into the deadline. So you know what? I lied when I started, when I said I hated her. I actually loved her. She could have taken a stick and beaten me up, but I still would love her. You know why? Because she connected with me at a personal level, at a heart level. You know what I mean? One major tip I want to give you. If you want to connect with your clients, I'm not saying you start asking them their personal details and all, because that's PII. You know what is PII, right? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying at some point, find the common ground. Maybe it is cricket. You can talk about cricket, or you can talk about the IPL, or now NBA is going on, the March Madness got over. You can connect at some level before you drive in your content. Get very quickly to the point. Few other things I've said. Indians have this long-wounded approach of saying a short thing. Alright? We write one full paragraph to say the project is delayed. Why don't you say the project is delayed in the subject line? Alright, so we want to make this whole explanation and yarn, and that my other project man, his dog died, and this other person, this thing happened, blah, blah, blah. and my bike got punctured in the morning, there was so parking, security guard, and all this happened. That is why I cannot give the deliverable today. They don't care. They don't care. Get to the point very, very quickly. Alright, very important on that front. Another thing I think in terms of in terms of communication, which I learned, which I want to pass on to you. When there is multiple threads going on, multiple email threads going on, stop email communication, pick up the phone and talk to that person. Did you know that the moment you press the send button on your email, you've lost all control of the conversation? Did you know that? It depends on the receiver, what mood he or she is in when she or she reads your email from India. That person may be in a bad state of mind, that person might be skimming through the lines, maybe you've written 7 paragraphs, the person did not understand everything well, and the email thread keeps going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Have you realized that sometimes it happens to you? Yeah, you can nod your head a little bit. Stop communicating at that point on email, pick up the phone and speak to that person. There are times when you have to understand that email is good, communication is good, but you and I should have the maturity levels to some point say, you know what, I think this involves a phone call. So let me set up a call and I'll get back to you on this. That's very, very important. Another last point on this thing before I go to my next thing is in terms of learn to read the non-verbal communication as well. Non-verbal communication as well. What is non-verbal communication? Yeah? Body language, then voice, facial expressions. But you're telling me I'm on a phone call. How can I see body language on a phone call with my client in the US? Tone of voice, and then choice of words, then that little little laughter, this little, did they get it, not get it, that kind of a thing. The same thing, by the way, they expect of you. Did you know that? Did you know at this given point, somebody like Sam Rufus is talking to the Americans and your clients there saying that when you talk to India, they're doing their little their little motivation for how to deal with India, by the way. Did you know that? I'm sure they're doing that. We do that in our company. So, it is vice versa, reciprocal. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When you want to communicate to them that you are happy, you're all fine, everything is going fine and dandy for you, show it out in your voice. Don't hesitate to crack a joke. Communicate with them. I'll end with this one story on this point. My wife takes care of all my children's mathematics, geography, physics, whatever they have, and all of that happened. Not that I'm a very bad father, but I keep a close watch on all of that. But one day I heard my daughter say, I have an elocution competition. Can you believe the topic was on greeting? She's 6 years old, for crying out loud. 6 years old. And the topic was greeting. But I jumped right into it. You know why? Because one of the things India as a whole lacks is effective communication skills. We are very good in our mother tongue, for example, but in business language communication, India still lacks. And I did not want my daughter to grow up like me, very bad in communication. So I jumped right into it and I got her all excited and I gave her, I said, you do this, you memorize this, I give you this chocolate. Then you have to think about this, blah, blah, blah. I painted pictures for her and made her repeat it. I video recorded her on my iPhone. And then, long story short, she can speak extremely well. She won the first prize, by the way. So, but I jumped in because I wanted to help my daughter speak English and communicate very well, because I believe more than physics, chemistry, mathematics. Tell me, what's the sulfuric acid formula? Okay, how does sulfuric acid come? That's the next question. Nobody remembers that, correct? Nobody remembers that. Who's the second guy who went to the moon? Okay, whatever. You get the message there? Communication, extremely important. So here we go. The first team, you were in charge for what? What's your first buzzword here? The client. Focus on the C, client. The second team, your focus is what? Communication. That's when you build that relationship with the client. The third team, Bangalore. I'm coming to you guys. Bangalore, can you wave at me once, please, again? And especially the guy on the cell phone. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah. By the way, I do that also in the last show, so don't worry. I do that, so don't worry. The third C I want to get into is in terms of confidence. Confidence. The biggest problem plaguing India right now is lack of confidence. No confidence at all. Self-confidence is at its lowest in India. Did you know that? If I were to ask any of you to come and give a speech on stage, if I were to ask you to make a presentation right now on the topic greening, how many of you would just jump and rise and say, you know what, I will do it? By the way, stage fear is okay, I'm not talking really about that. But all I'm trying to say is confidence is important, and the confidence, listen to the kind of confidence I'm talking about. The confidence that comes out of being a subject matter expert in your field. The confidence that comes out of you and I being a subject matter expert in our field. Many of us are searching for certifications and degrees. Is that, I don't know about Wells Fargo, but in Deloitte that is one booth. Sam, and especially technology team, I manage a technology team. Sam, I want to do this certification, Sam. By the way, Deloitte people don't talk like that. I'll be soon jobless and I'll be at Sridhar's office to get me a job here. But you get the point. Sam, I want to do this certification. You gave him money for the certification. 3 months later, he will come and say, Sam, I passed this certification. Now I want to do next certification. 6 months later, again he will come and say, you know what, I want to do this next level of certification. The certification bug is in India, but the true result doesn't come out. Just because you did your certification, at least you should show that you went to the next level, you're thinking at the next level, you're coming up with brand new solutions and architecture and engineering, and you're doing something hatke. But nothing is happening. Your signature after your email, Sam Rufus, blah, 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 till the end of the page and it comes down also. That's where we love to exist. Certification booth in India. I tell you, C.K. Prahalad, he said, theory of core competence. Go in depth in one field, one area of your interest. Of course, you need to know a little bit of everything. You have to be a little multifaceted these days. But you and I will rise up in our careers for our confidence that comes out of being a subject matter expert in our particular area. Excel at what you do. And how do you excel? Excellence is such a word, it's like Maya. What is excellence? Can anyone define? It's like, what is beautiful? Can you define beautiful? Sir, that girl, sir. What is beautiful? It's like Maya, it's an abstract noun, right? In my personal opinion, excellence is, today, if you are at this level, can you move up by a delta level? Can you grow a little bit more? Can you do a little bit better than what you did yesterday? Excellence is all about that delta addendum to what you did earlier. If you were at 70%, can you become 75%, 78%? 79%, 82%. Can you grow up a little bit on that? That to me is excellence. In your project delivery, if you took 3 hours or 6 hours or 6 months to do it, can you do it shorter by a smaller margin? That is excellence. If you did choreography in your cultural program in your office and you dance bakwas, and next time you dance like Chameli, Chitli, Chameli and all, you're moving up there, you're slowly climbing. the ladder of excellence. That's what I'm trying to really get at. Excellence is not something that you will strive in certifications. No. Certification will not give you excellence. But you doing something hatke, something different, something adding to that. So that's your Bangalore. So that's your third C. Alright? That's your third C, which is what? I can't hear them, right? Which is what? Confidence. Confidence that comes out of what? Being good at what you do. Fourth thing, and I'll finish with just one more point after that. India needs leaders. And I believe India has an overload of followers, order takers, people who can execute according to, you tell them A, B, C, D, these are the deliverables, this is how it should look like, they will go and execute it. But where did the idea come from? It came from somebody else. But now slowly India is changing. From an earlier order takers, today most of us are MBAs. We've already got, we have access to Google, we have access to different forms of information. So we can't let one person dictate us. One manager boss over us. Because the earlier style of leadership was a hierarchical structure. Then it went to a matrix structure. You have an India boss, you have a US boss, you have matrix structure. But the key fundamental element that will make you as a manager not become a damager is consensus building. If you in your team can make 5 people follow a common vision or a goal or a project deliverable or a deadline, you are the leader. You will be somehow promoted. I can guarantee you that. You know, I work with a lot of voluntary organizations. It's very easy to make people who report to you follow your orders, because in the year end you can give them rating 1, right, in your lowest scale. But it's very difficult, think about this, very difficult motivating volunteers to come and do a particular event, a particular program, do a cultural show, organize a greening event in your office, or organize a social community event in your office. Something you're doing for the community, right? Very difficult, very difficult. I believe the leaders of tomorrow are those who can build, everybody say consensus? Consensus. Everybody a little louder, consensus? If you cannot make 5 people, 3 people, 7 people come together to fulfill a common goal, you are not a leader, you are a dictator. You are just using your positional power or title to get the job done. You are not motivating them at the level where they can understand why you are asking them to do what you are asking them to do. Consensus building. I'm going to jump very quickly to my absolute last point. And this probably is one of the things that will take you higher in life. Very important, goes with my earlier point as well. And the last point is this, is your connections. Is your connections. Is your connections. When I say connections, I mean, I take the new hire orientation, induction in Deloitte. And I ask people, so what did you hear about Deloitte? And they keep saying, we heard in Deloitte, to survive, you have to network. I'm like, what? No, in Deloitte, you have to network. What is networking? They said, no, you have to know people and all, like that and all. Networking is one of the most abused words, not only in Deloitte, but every corporate, every place all over the sun. I truly believe networking is not about going to a party where everybody is semi-drunk. My name is Sam Rubens. This is my business card. Take it. Meet me if you need anything. Networking is not about distributing your business cards like you distribute your patte khilta na table pe. Like that, throwing your card. I believe it's not about networking. It's about building relationships. Building relationships. By the way, strategic, formal relationships. Building relationships. Building relationships. Can I tell you something? All business, and this is a hugely generalized statement, but it's true. All business business on planet Earth happens only and only through relationships. Everybody say relationships? My wife, she goes to one Khatara Kirana store and buys all our monthly groceries. Beside my house, there is Spencer's, there is Big Bazaar, there is Ratnadeep supermarket, all the nice supermarkets. You put your kid on a trolley and air condition and all that. Aram say they put. No. My wife wants to go to this good for nothing mom and pop store and buy all her monthly provisions. So I was thinking, why is my wife going there? Huh? Kuch to chakkar hai. So I actually, one day on a Saturday, I actually went with her to do this little shopping. So I go to this Kirana store and I see this, and the lady of the store, she's talking to my wife. As soon as my wife comes in, she's talking to my wife and saying, she's calling my wife by her name, first name. Okay? And then she's saying, Madam ji, aapke, the son was not well now. Abhi theek ho gaya kya? Jaden, your beti ka naam tha. Sasha bhi 6th class mein hai na, correct? Correct. And then he's saying, आपके husband तो Deloitte पे काम करते हैं ना, वो VP है, यही मेरे husband है. Oh, okay, no. All of those, everything, and my wife is talking about this Kirana store lady, her husband, her kids, somebody in Australia. My wife knows all the details about that Kirana store. One thing struck me really hard. Many years ago when I was I was working for Mr. P.R. Ramesh, who was a partner for Deloitte here, and we had to do a little assignment for Estelle Jewelry. Estelle Jewelry? Some of you girls wear Estelle Jewelry? Oh, you girls only wear Swarovski and all, huh? Okay. But, guys are also wearing nowadays. Okay, I'm not going there. Diversity and inclusion ke naam pe, whatever. So, Estelle Jewelry, we had to do this little assignment in Estelle Jewelry, and I was new to Deloitte. I was in management consulting at that time, and my boss told me, we got to pitch for this assignment with Estelle Jewelry. So make a nice looking swanky presentation. I remember those days, it was Windows 95. By the way, that's how old I am, although I kind of look 22, 23, I actually like to say I'm 27 and 9,000 days old, but you can do the mathematics. But anyway, so Estelle Jewelry. So I make this swanky PowerPoint presentation all night, and I go next day morning to the managing director of this Estelle Jewelry, his factory. I go to his office, I open my laptop, I connect the projector. In those days, 1000 lumens or something like that it was. And that time they said it was high tech and all. So connect the projector, then I start talking, Deloitte, we are into this, we are into that, we can do this for you, we can get the mood for you, and everything. I'm doing all this swanky presentation, and then the managing director suddenly stops and says, Beta, stop. What are you trying to do? I said, sir, we came to pitch for the assignment. Oh, no, don't worry. You already got the assignment. Your boss, your partner, and I, we belong to the Secunderabad club. I met him yesterday night over dinner, and we struck the deal. I will only execute the assignment. What's the point I'm trying to make? All business on planet Earth happens through relationship. I am here because of relationships. Because Pramod knows me, introduced me to Sridhar, that's why I'm here. I got my job in Deloitte because of somebody I knew. I'm sure you got feelings local I'm sure you got a job in Wells Fargo because somebody referred you to this place, correct? Somebody you know is always putting his or her hand on you, correct? All business on planet Earth happens through relationship. If you don't have that relationship, can I tell you who are your mentors, who are your closest people? The last 10 frequently dialed numbers are your people whom you are really close to, who you have a relationship with. What I'm challenging you today is find mentors in Wells Fargo. Find mentors with your colleagues in the US who can mentor you, and you can build relationship with them. That is how you will rise in the firm. I have 5 mentors and people who I build up every single year. And these are every time new. I've worked with Deloitte 14 years. I know a lot of people in Deloitte, but I personally know these 5 people over the course of the year. I want to challenge you, if you want to grow higher in your career, in your life, personally, you need to build up relationships with your bosses, with your colleagues, with your mentors, with your managers, with your colleagues in the US. That's the only way you will grow. In a team of 500 people, when I go and speak in different other places, I remember those 2, 3, 5 people who come and shake hands with me and give me their name or their Facebook address or whatever, rather than the 500 people I'm addressing. You know why? Because the 5 people took time to shake hands with me, come and introduce themselves to me. Same thing is true with your clients as well. When you shake hands with them, you build relationships with them, you build mentoring relations, professional relations with them, they will remember you, they put their hand on you, and they'll make you grow forward. So that's the 5th thing. What is the 5th thing? So you have to do this. Let's do the reverse thing. The 5C mantra for not just surviving, but thriving. Let's start from the back. In Bangalore, I'm coming to you and I close with this. Number 1 is what? Connections, strategic relationships. You guys? Consensus. Leaders should know how to build consensus. That's the new age economy. You guys? Oh, Bangalore. Confidence. The C, the confidence. Confidence that comes out of being a subject matter expert in what you do, not just getting 1,000 certifications. And then this team was what? Communication. Because unless this one thing called communication is there, you can be a technological genius. But guess what? You are retiring in the same level that you are in currently today. Alright? Communication. And the last one, focus unendingly on the client. Ensure when you say EOD, when you say give them a time, date, specify, build the trust with them. Because once you build the trust with them and come up with creative, innovative ideas, they are going to trust you, they're going to send more work to you, and they're going to keep you as a strategic partner, not just an order taker. Alright? So thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys. And I'll see you soon.